Hi guys, thanks for tuning in to another video on ForgottenWeapons.com. I'm Ian. I'm here today at the James Julia Auction House up in Maine. I'm taking a look at some of the guns that are coming up for sale in their October of 2015 auction. There are two here that are very similar to each other. They come from the same provenance, and in fact they're two of only three guns that exist from this entire kind of project originally. Now these were manufactured by BSA, Birmingham Small Arms, and they were made in about 1919 or 1920. There's basically no original documentation left on these guns, so most of what we know about them simply comes from what we can tell by looking at them. These two are a 32 and a 34 caliber, and there was also a 45 auto version. In fact, we took a look at the 45 auto in a previous auction when that one came up for sale. What was going on is basically in 1914, when World War I started, BSA was the largest rifle manufacturing center in the UK that was not government owned. And they made a whole ton of money and expanded their facilities massively during the war to produce weapons for the British Army. Well, when the war ends in 1919, that kind of puts them in a sticky spot. There's no way that the commercial market for sporting arms and even some of the other industrial areas that they diversified into, there's no way that market's going to take up all the slack of the sudden complete elimination, basically, of government arms orders. So they kind of scrambled to figure out some ways to increase business. Yeah. So one of the endeavors that they came up with to try and create some new market potential was to collaborate with some ammunition manufacturers in the UK and create a new line of ammunition, new line of cartridges and guns to go with them that were all rimmed belted cases. Now, we normally see belted cases on very high pressure rounds, often things like big game rifles. 458 Winchester Magnum is a belted cartridge, where at the very base of the cartridge, where it's closest to the end of the chamber and you have the most potential for it to blow out, you add an extra belt of brass to strengthen it. That's not necessary in a little blowback pistol. However, that was kind of new technology. The patents on that were just expiring. And the idea was, let's make these guns for these new belted cartridges because it's the hot new thing. And it may not be necessary, but it looks cool. It engenders this modernality. So in particular, the one we're looking at here was a 34 caliber cartridge, which was basically comparable to 32 ACP. And this pistol is in 34, belted. That ammunition, by the way, is basically unobtainium. I think a few rounds of it exist, and that's it. This project never went anywhere. This pistol over here started out life as a 34 belted and was actually rebuilt by the factory over the process of this project to use standard 32 ACP. So why don't we take a closer look at these? In some ways, they're just straight copies of some other stuff, but in some ways there are some interesting elements to them. So these two pistols are mechanically pretty much identical, but they do have a few differences to them. The most obvious visual difference, this is the 34 caliber, and its slide has been scalloped out for grip. Kind of cool. The 45 caliber version, you'll see, has that exact same feature on the slide. The 32 version does not. It just has normal, some gripping serrations right there. Mechanically, these are basically straight up copies of the FN model 1922. Semi-auto, straight blowback. There are a couple little differences to them. Most significantly, these have hold open devices, so they'll lock open on empty magazines, although for different reasons, both of these will not. This one has kind of a bum magazine in it. So in this version, they didn't have a rib on the back of the magazine. This was an early, remember, these pistols are both developmental, so they're not complete. There is a catch on the back of the follower that activates the bolt hold open, but the magazine spring here is very weak. It's probably broken inside. And so this catch doesn't effectively hit the device in the pistol to lock open. However, the pistols were designed to have to hold open on the last round. So that's the main mechanical difference. A couple interesting things about them, though. So obviously we have BSA in the grips. I will point out that these grips are actually handmade because these were prototype guns. If they'd ever gone into production, they would have had molds. But these two are both hand engraved. The grip safety, when the gun is cocked, the grip safety comes out and it says arme on the one side, and for us English speakers it says cocked on the other side. So I guess you kind of know that, and if you don't know it, that's awfully small text to go looking at to read. But when the gun is cocked, grip safety comes out. Once it is not cocked, the grip safety remains down. Manual safety, back here, only engages when the gun is cocked. You can also use that as a hold open, a manual hold open, right there. So another interesting feature here is that the firing pin is used as the ejector. You can see that firing pin extrudes or extends quite a ways out when I push the slide all the way back. That's not that uncommon of a mechanism in a .32 auto. The .45 caliber gun does the same thing, and it is a bit unusual in a large caliber like that. In the hand, these feel a bit like a 1922. They also actually feel very much like an original Remington Model 51. They have these little tiny bitty sights. They're very flat, very narrow. So one interesting element of the .34 caliber pistol is you can see it's got this ridge in the chamber right there. That's to allow space for the belt on the cartridge. If you look at any other normal chamber, including the chamber of the .32 caliber, you will not see a ridge like that. That's smooth. It's a normal .32 caliber chamber. We'll also point out these two magazines. Again, remember, these are developmental guns. They were never intended to be given out to anyone to really seriously test or to be considered examples of the finished product. These were both works in process. So the .34 is a later gun. It shows less hand fitting and more machine-made features. And its magazine has this rib on the back, which makes for a much more functional magazine hold open. This is the .32 caliber on this side. It does not have that ridge. It's just a flat back, and so the tab on the back of the follower is not quite so effective, not quite so reliable. Since this is an auction house and this is a relevant detail for anyone who might buy these guns, I will also point out that the .32 is complete and appears to be functional. The .34 caliber is missing a couple of bits. It does not have the magazine catch. It's simply missing. And it's also missing something inside the trigger mechanism. This does not dry fire. The trigger is just slack. Well, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the chance to take a look at this pair of BSA pistols. These are, I'm pretty sure, the only ones you'll ever see, because I'm pretty sure these are the only two of their kind left in existence today. This project was probably one of the greatest failures ever by BSA. It just completely flopped. Nobody wanted special new ammunition that wasn't even necessary in the first place. So the documentation is scarce, and this is all that's left from the pistols. If you'd like to have them yourself, even though they are literally one-of-a-kind guns, they are coming up for sale. So if you check, there are two links in the description text below. Those will take you to the two catalog pages for these pistols. You can take a look at the Julia Auction House's descriptions and their photos, and if you'd like them, place bids or come on down here and participate in the auction live. Thanks for watching.